The insurance industry wants people to be clear about what they buy and how claims are evaluated.
Well, a new guidebook has been launched for this purpose by the Life Insurance Association of Singapore.
Now, to explain this further, we have with us this evening Mr. Chan Wai Kit. He's Executive Director of the Life Insurance Association. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Chan.
Thank you.
Now, life insurance, straight away, the misconceptions on that. Tell us what it is, what the coverage is like in Singapore, and what this guidebook aims to improve.
Sure. Now, I think one of the things about life insurance, I think is, firstly, I think we have life insurance and general insurance in Singapore. So really, life insurance is really about all the different medical needs, critical illness, things that really affect the individual life, and that's what we provide coverage for. Right. So last year, I think that we really have seen that there has been really an increase in take-up for people who are actually getting more mortality coverage, more critical illness coverage. And I think increasingly we see that people are really concerned about protecting themselves and their loved ones for the events that could potentially happen and affect them. Yeah. So I think when we launched the guide that you actually mentioned earlier, one of the aims that we really wish to do is really to increase the financial literacy of the consumers in Singapore, right? So there's always potentially some misunderstanding, lack of understanding about how insurers actually underwrite policies, or basically what we call when we take in applications, right? So when insurers receive an application, we will always assess it based on the information that's provided, the supplemental information that perhaps the customer may submit to us, and really assess it against the benefits of the plans and the risks that the companies are willing to undertake. So really, I think the purpose of this guide is to allow the consumers to understand the general principles that all companies abide by when they actually assess the application in really pretty much a very fair manner and objective manner.
Mr. Chan, in helping consumers to better understand their options by improving their financial literacy, you're really trying to get them to ask themselves some key questions about health coverage and financial planning as well. So we want to be able to improve their understanding of that. Specifically, what kind of questions perhaps should consumers be asking themselves when they're taking these sort of life insurance plans into consideration?
Sure. I think a couple of things that they should be really thinking about, right? I think firstly, it's really their needs in itself, right? We are always advocating the fact that customers should first assess their needs, right? At different life stages, we all have different needs. When I'm young, when I'm just coming out to work, when I get married, right? Or even when I'm near my retirement years, the needs do change over time. Right? So firstly, it's really talking about the needs. And how do you actually understand your needs in the first place as a man in the street, as a person out there, right? So I think earlier this year, already together with MAS, LIA, and a couple of industry bodies, we have actually came together to produce the basic financial planning guides. And that really provides the basics of what a person should look at different life stages, etc. Beyond that, I think that is where we always encourage that if they wish to understand better, they should speak to an advisor who is actually trained to help them unearth their needs based on what's their situation today, etc. And then from the needs in itself, to determine what are the type of plans potentially that they should be looking at. So that's really, in a nutshell, some of the things that they should be considering. Yeah.
All right. For a professional like yourself, it's obvious to you what a need can reasonably be. But in a way, as you say, needs change. Life expectancy in Singapore increasing. We look at the first on record in the 1950s, we lived about 60. Now it's 83.74 years. So 20 years jump in how long we can expect to live if we're born now. Yeah. Those needs are going to change. But in a way, what counts as a need which would apply when you want to get a policy on health insurance? This is what your guidebook teaches us to be looking out for.
I think the guidebook in itself, the guidebook in itself is really about the general underwriting principles, which is really providing basic guidance as to when a person puts in an application, what do they actually look out for, or what do we look out for based on the things that they have submitted to the insurers to consider. I think to your question, I think earlier, which is really about the aging population, about people getting older and the impact, I guess. I think a couple of things. I think one, we all recognize that health is wealth. So really the part about health as you age is a really very important part to be covered. I think we have seen that more people are actually getting active in terms of really actively taking care of their health, a lot more into preventive care, a lot more into exercising, etc., to keep themselves healthy. At the same time, I think that they will, if anything happens to them, I think they are also much more looking at what is the latest medical technologies, how could they be using all this to actually help them to get back into the ping of health. And that is where insurance, medical insurance can come into play to actually help them, because the whole aim of really medical insurance is to really reduce out-of-pocket expenses for all the medically necessary treatments. So that's really one component of it. Second component of it is really, as we all age, one of the things means that our retirement funds needs to last us longer, right? And that is also where I think from an insurance angle, there are plans which can potentially help to plan for a person or help a person achieve their goals.
All right, Mr. Chan, thank you very much for coming into the studios to share your insights with us on this new guidebook and also the options that people have for insurance, life insurance. Thank you very much. That was Mr. Chan Wai Kit, the Executive Director, Life Insurance Association.